Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt Bogosian, and this is my third episode of my series called Changing Lanes. And this is a series where I'm interviewing people that have moved from California here to Tennessee. So I'm going to go ahead and get my guest on here. Her name is Megan Smith. Are you there, Megan?
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. Megan and I were chatting before we started, and we found out we both live in the same place in Tennessee, College Grove. How cool.
We're very lucky.
Yeah. So what part of California did you live in before you moved here?
We moved from Orange County, California. So
Okay.
Huntington Beach, Newport Beach area.
Okay, what was that like? Was that like city-like compared to College Grove?
Prior to that, we were in the city of Los Angeles. So it didn't feel like a city to us. It actually felt like suburbia. But compared to now, yeah, it was the city. We don't even have a grocery store here. So yeah, it was a beach life. I walked everywhere, barely needed a car.
That's pretty awesome. Did you guys own a home or did you rent?
No, we did not. We rented. So, it's quite expensive there. Property taxes, everything. Mello-Roos, which they have in Orange County. It's pretty crazy. It's like an extra thing you have to pay on for government purposes, which makes, you probably know what it is, but it's crazy. I don't even know how to explain it, but it made it quite unattainable to buy homes there. So
that's crazy. What do you think your house that you live in, or what would a typical house cost in that area?
Where I came
from? Yeah.
Where I moved from? Of course, there's parts of Orange County that are not that way, but where I moved from, we were in a townhouse that we rented that was selling. They were really old and run down and not great, and they were selling for $2. And they were really old. There was termite problems. And then, anything else like 2.5, 3, nothing with really a yard.
Ugh.
Yeah. Then you add the property taxes and the state income taxes and all the other fees. Then you're dealing with, we had right before we moved here, and we were in a really nice part of town. We had somebody jump our back fence at 7:00 p.m. while I was putting my kids down, a complete crackhead who had a crowbar, and he was trying to bust through my back door while I was putting my kids to sleep at 7:00. It was just a normal day,
Oh my gosh. Was that
That was at Newport Beach. So yeah, put that in perspective.
I heard the funniest story. There's this guy that called me, and he's looking at moving here, and he lives, I can't remember, maybe San Jose. And he put all these nice planters, he told me, and stuff in the front of his house because he's into landscaping. He said somebody came by in the middle of the night and stole it all.
Of course they did. You can't leave anything. You can't leave anything. Your car will be broken into. And this is, again, coming from where I'm from, originally San Francisco, which is the worst, and then LA. Orange County was much better, but it was all infiltrating there. So it was you couldn't escape it, post 2020, it got really bad.
I thought San Francisco, I know it's not good anymore, but it's supposed to be a beautiful, nice, fun city.
If you, don't mind people defecating while you're eating lunch,
What do you think? What was the tipping point? What happened? How long did you think about moving to Tennessee? And then what was the tipping point where you said, screw this, I'm out of here?
Well, we wanted to leave California pre-pandemic. I've never lived anywhere in my life but California, and I've never lived more than a mile from the ocean in my entire life. So that's a really big move for me. And when we had kids, everything changed. The world that we wanted them to grow up in, the things that we wanted them to be exposed to, the influences that they'd be exposed to, it started mattering a lot more. And then, the reality of what can we afford? We're in a hamster wheel. We can't buy a house anywhere we want to live. The schools are not, to each their own. It wasn't my cup of tea. And then private schools were extremely expensive. And then the taxes just kept getting raised. And then 2020 hit. And then it was this state is absolutely insane. It was Looney Tunes. It was an insane asylum. It was terrible. Then Gavin Newsom is an absolute madman. And so, again, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, that whole area was like a safe haven in a really, really crazy place because, the mandates weren't really affect there. People were pretty like-minded. But then, like I said, then the crime started coming in. Then the homeless started coming in, like sweet, sleepy towns where my mom lives, San Clemente, which is like the safest, sleepiest, most beautiful southern Orange County town. Now they're ridden with homeless tents. A 75-year-old man was just stabbed to death on my mom's walking trail by her house. Like it's happening everywhere. So when 2020 hit, we knew we needed to get out, but my husband worked in LA every day. It wasn't our timing. And then finally we reached the breaking point when my son was born in 2021. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, we have to just do it. We have to just get out of here. And we had a short list of states that met our criteria. We needed to be close. My husband needed to be close to a major airport because he travels almost weekly. We needed it to align with our political values, our religious, moral foundation. And we picked Tennessee and we just did it. We just literally did it.
Like you told me earlier, you didn't know anybody here. So like hearing your story, here's someone who you grew up by the beach your whole life in California and you didn't know anybody. I mean, that honestly, must have been such a huge decision for you.
And we left all of our family. So like my family would help me with my kids twice a week. We had such a strong community of friends. I had a very solid support system. But we visited once. We never went to College Grove, but we visited Franklin once. We just wanted to see it. My husband and I with our son. And we just wanted to get a lay of the land. It was on our short list of states. And we just felt, we didn't really do anything. We just we went to get Gentry Farms, like a, fall festival. Yep. And we just felt for the first time in years, we felt safe, like in every aspect, like physically, spiritually, emotionally, we felt safe. And we had this like guard that just was released. And we were like, we can be us and we don't have to worry about being exiled for the beliefs we have. Yeah. And that was all we needed. Like that was literally all we needed. We literally made a move based on a feeling we had when we were here for a weekend.
I love that. Like, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to. The one that really resonates with me, I remember I met this couple that came here from California to look at the area, and they met me at a coffee shop, and they were older, and they said they had lived in California 50 years. And they had a beautiful home near the water, the whole thing. And they were like, we just can't take it anymore. Cause I was like, can't you look past it all? I said, can't you just stay in your own little bubble and not worry about it? And they were like, we can't.
That's what happened to us. And then we have little kids. So it was we had a really like-minded group of friends, but that's a like-minded group of friends in a really big ocean of people that just were not, it got incredibly toxic for us, and a lot of people thought we were crazy because they were like, you don't know anything about Tennessee other than what we know about Tennessee, like politics and all that, but you're just leaving everything. And I'm like, well, we are, because every single part of our life was saying you have to leave, from our safety to our religious values, to our political values, to the fact we couldn't buy a home, to our taxes. I mean, it was just getting to the point where it was like, we're idiots for staying here. There was not one reason to stay here other than I love the ocean and a comfort zone of what I know. But that comfort zone's not very comfortable. It's getting dangerous. So.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's not the same, but you can drive down to Florida, you know what I mean, and visit.
Yeah. And I do struggle with the beach a bit, but one thing I definitely have found is that the reason I would go to the ocean so much was because it was the only peaceful place there. So it was the only place where I could have quiet and a sense of peace and not have honking and screaming and just the constant noise of life. But here in Tennessee, I feel like that peace, I have it in my backyard here. I have it everywhere I go here. And I found like I go to Radnor Lake a lot, it's just like everywhere driving on I used to have to like meditate driving in Southern California because it was road rage galore, Here, I love driving. I love it. The freeways are beautiful. The country roads, it's amazing. Everywhere I go, I feel that peace. And that's something that we've noticed. So it's like, while we miss the ocean, we also get that same feeling that we get at the ocean just living here.
Yeah. There's things like, I tell people I'm living in College Grove on some land. I see the benefits to this, but I also see the benefits if I had a condo in downtown Nashville and I was able to there's pros and cons to everything. I think the fact though, like as far as for raising a family and for your sanity and just for the beliefs that people have here, it's probably a better place for you in the long run.
It is, and we're so happy. We talk about it daily that like we don't know where we'd be in any capacity if we stayed. Like in our marriage, in our mental health, everything, because it was just like everything's just so chaotic. And here we've been able to just like be, and it's wonderful. And I always tell people thinking about Tennessee, just come and just don't have plans, just be here and see how you feel.
Yeah. You're the second person that said that they came here and just felt at home, like, and had a good feeling right when they were here. Like Mike, who I interviewed before you, he said the same thing. He said he came and they were here, they were in Franklin, and he said we just had this feeling that like we knew we could live here. We knew it was the right place.
Totally. It's a wonderful place. I hope it stays that way. I'm sure it will, but lots of people are coming in. So, and we've tried really adopting like Southern habits and value, just because we don't want to bring like the busyness of California here. So just little things like not getting irritated driving behind a John Deere tractor on Arno or like, just slowing down in life. It's been such a wonderful life lesson for us. So.
I grew up in Massachusetts and I came down here when I was 18. And like, seriously, I would say the F word every other word.
Yeah.
I just like, that's just what I did. And like, we had road rage. And like, now I am so chill. Like,
totally.
If someone cuts me off, you should see, I'm like, they probably didn't see me and I understand.
Yeah, or like they got somewhere to go, my kids now, my daughter's 5, and like just her overall behavior is 180. She had great behavior. It wasn't like she was a bad behaviored kid. It's not that, but her overall manners, her it's yes ma'am, no thank you. Like it just, she's really embraced that. In California, it's much more of like a consumption-based society, like I want entertainment, I want this, I want that. And here she like goes out and plays in the creek with sticks and rocks for hours. And it's like, she would never have done that before. She would want go to Disneyland, want the flashy toys. And now she's like making castles with rocks and leaves and says, yes, ma'am, and no, thank you. And I'm just like, this is amazing.
Like, you guys in California, like hug on a regular basis when you saw, because we didn't either in Massachusetts. And now, like, when I see people, like when I meet someone or say bye, when I'm showing them homes or whatever, like we hug.
And people like,
so weird at first.
We do stuff here. My mom visits me a lot, and it's been interesting. She's actually going to be making the move out here. She's going to be moving to College Grove as well. But I never thought she would leave, because she is like, I've been in California my whole life. She's 70 and she's been in California her whole life. But it's funny because like I've seen all the times she's visited, and she always comes for a month at a time or 3 weeks or whatever. And I've seen her like energy with like the first couple days she's here, and then by the end of the trip, and she's a different person. And she's noticed it because like, she's so high strung and wired and has eyeballs in the back of her head, always looking around. Is she going to get mugged? Is she going to get beaten up? Is she going to, all this stuff is real. And she was here not too long ago. And within like 2 days we had, we were at Puckett's in Columbia. And like this guy who had like crutches and like a broken leg, like got up from his seat to come open the door for my mom. Like he was like, clearly he couldn't walk very well, and she was like, oh my goodness. And then we had like, I was getting, I was at a gas station, Gulf in College Grove, whatever, Glenn's, whatever. And I was like filling up air in my tire because I had a leaky tire. And like this man just pulls up next to me, doesn't even get gas, comes out of his car. My mom jumps. My mom thinks we're about to get mugged, and she's like, goes to the kids. I'm like, Mom, it's fine, and he goes and he fills up the air in my tire for me. Like that's all, he stops to do that for me. And then he leaves, and it's just, that's Tennessee. And so. Yeah.
I get the feeling like people look out for one another here.
You do. It's beautiful. And
it's awesome. So like, let's talk about the move. Did you use movers?
We did Pack Rat, 1-800 Pack Rat. So basically we got rid of pretty much everything because we had moved a bunch in a few years from different like apartments and townhouses. So like the stuff we had, we kind of wanted to start over in our new home. And so, and we were moving here like 2 months before our house was ready. And so we were just kind of bouncing around. So we got rid of most everything, got Pack Rat, a pod, and then did that. And they were fine. Like we had no bad experience. We had a great experience with them.
That's what Mike told me earlier. He had a horrible experience with his movers. And someone else told me the same thing, but he told me the pods or the Pack Rat or the U-Haul pods or whatever were great. They show up on time. You can track them, he said.
Yeah, and you can store them for as long as you want. I think the storage fee might have been like $100 a month, which wasn't that bad in regards to like in the Nashville warehouse. So like, we moved into we were in a hotel for a couple of weeks, and then we moved into a rental in our neighborhood, which was wild how that worked out, for 2 months. And so we just paid the storage fee. We just paid $100 a month, and then they came and came to our house when it was ready. I would use them again in a heartbeat.
See, that's cool. And like, you know what, like, I remember like when you rent and you said like you got rid of your stuff and you had just kind of carried it, like, I feel like when you get into a home and you own it, you can finally be like, okay, cool. I can buy some nice couches and some stuff. Mm-hmm. It's mine. Like you have this feeling of ownership now.
Yeah, totally.
It's like worth it to put the time and money into it.
It is. Like we have people here right now doing a bunch of, like we just had a built-in put in, we have more of a builder grade home, but we're doing a ton of things to it. Like it's been a fun experience. So, and Pack Rat was.
You're in a beautiful neighborhood too. So
yeah, we're lucky. We're very grateful for it.
So, okay. So that's cool. You didn't have to sell. How about jobs? Like,
yeah, so I am at home with my kids, but my husband he was the whole reason we couldn't move in 2019 because he works, he's an executive and he was working in downtown LA. And so, they kept saying he couldn't work remote. And he finally got to a point where he was like, I'm moving. I'm moving, like take it or leave it, but I'm out of here, and it worked out. He travels a lot as is, which is why, again, we chose Nashville over other places because, and that's another thing about here. I feel like traffic is always like, I don't want to jinx it, but it's not too hard to get to the airport from here. Like it really isn't. Like he can get there in like 35 minutes, and so he travels a lot. And so, he basically was like, I'm moving and I'll travel back to LA once a month and it is what it is. So he was able, I think with COVID too, so many people now are much more confident with working remote, like companies. And so, that's what we did. And I'm very grateful.
Did you buy a new construction home?
At Falls Grove, yes.
See, I tell people if they're open to it, what I love about like a new construction home, say you catch it like, and it's 4 months into the build and someone likes it and you go under contract, they'll be like, hey, approximate finish time will be maybe 4 months from then. Mm-hmm. And we all know that closing date can float a little bit, but it gives you time. If you're from California, you're like, okay, now I have a place and I have 4 months to like, somehow get there. And I just feel like gives you a little more flexibility.
I 100% agree with that. And I'm really glad that worked out. It literally fell into our lap how it worked out here. And we bought at the peak, which was rather unfortunate because there were only like 3 lots left in this whole community when we got our lot. Mm-hmm. And our lot, you know, our home, I'm very grateful for it, but like we paid substantially more than our neighbors did a year and a half ago for a house that's twice the size with like a wood-lined lot. You know, it just, that's how it worked out, unfortunately. But I couldn't imagine for us in our situation, it was so much better to be like, okay, putting our money down in December, the estimated completion time in August, you know, and so that we could plan and we could be like, okay, we're going to move out, you know, in June, and we'll, you know, and just oversee it. Or like my mom's doing that. My mom's going to do a new construction, and it's just so much easier because you don't have to just like scramble with these escrows and getting out there, and you can kind of take your time, and you don't owe your money up front either. You know, you put a deposit down, and then you can pay more as you go, which in our situation really helped us financially because it gave us time to kind of figure out what we would need, when we would need it, and all of that. You run the risk with that of interest rates. We got into that. We ended up like thinking we were going to be a lot lower. And then because of when we closed, it was higher. But you know, for the stress of it all, it really worked out better than if we bought an existing home. So,
and I'm going to tell you right now, like prices kind of came down a little bit, but I feel like things are flattening out. I'm still selling homes right now. Like
it's busy here.
Yeah, y'all will be fine. Like the key is just stay there for a little bit, and that's a beautiful neighborhood.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. And when we do, we'll go to land. So
yeah, and like I know it's easy. Like it's happened to me. Like we built basically what is like our forever home, but like then I build it, and then like I see someone else that built a house, and they have like something better, and I'm like, dang.
I know. And for us, it's hard because it's like every other house here, except for us and a couple others, are like you know, they're all half-acre lots, but they're like facing the woods, you know, so it's just like beautiful, unobstructed, you know. But so of course I'm like, well, I want that, but we're lucky, we're grateful. It all worked out the way it's meant to. So
yeah, no, that's fine. And
we get to own a home in a safe neighborhood in a safe town with great schools and great, like we couldn't get that back there in California.
Yeah, so that's another thing. I mean, the schools here. I mean, College Grove Elementary, is that where your kids are?
No, my daughter's in preschool. She'll be in kindergarten next year. We're actually going to do a homeschool tutorial Okay. But if we didn't do that, we would have absolutely done College Grove Elementary. I've heard amazing things about it. It was a big decision not to do that because all of the neighborhood kids go there. You know, the school bus runs through our neighborhood. Things I never got to experience as a child growing up in San Francisco. But we decided on this just for her because we think it'd be better for her. But yeah, it's a great school. People love it. It's super cute. They have so many fun events like all the time. So yeah. And it doesn't take 5 minutes to get there like everything else.
I know. Well, do you what do you have like as far as, do you have any tips that like something you learned like about the moving process, anything, the drive, just like what do you think you would tell somebody that's thinking about it that was in your situation?
I mean, going through this with like my mom, right? Because my mom has visited so many times to try to find the right place. Again, we moved blindly and it worked out. But there's so many places to live here. Like there's so many towns and there's so many communities. And that's one thing that we didn't understand until we got here. It was like, oh my gosh, like there's so many different subdivisions and communities, and some are newer, some are older, some because they're older have more established residents in them. So they're not gonna have as many little kids historically, you know. And so for me, if I were to do it all over again, I mean, we landed where is best for us, but I would have probably wanted someone to talk to me more about like the different towns. I think they're all pretty relative to, you know, equidistant to Nashville and Franklin and all that, but also just the communities and like, are they newer? Are they older? And just kind of to understand, I think the older communities are absolutely gorgeous, but like if you have really little kids, you know, maybe look into a newer community that might have younger families, because that's just seems like historically how it seems to go from people I've talked to. Yeah. And, you know, I've known people that have moved to older communities with little kids and haven't had as much luck finding a bunch of like little kid friends, you know, but you have the established trees, you have like, more brick homes, you have that. So kind of understanding more about what the different subdivisions like offer, I think for your specific family is helpful. And I've seen that with various people that have moved here from other places, or people that have moved out of my neighborhood into other places because there's so many little kids. I think that that's probably a smart thing to do because there's just so much here. So much.
There really is. Like
overwhelming.
There's this neighborhood that I did a little community tour of near me in Franklin, and it's called Harpeth Woods, and it's a Franklin neighborhood. And they're like exactly what people would be looking for. These beautiful brick homes. They're on 1 acre lots, like half to 1 acre trees. And I love it. The homes are older though. So like I went and showed one of those homes, and I went in and it was like, oh my gosh, the floor plan was horrible. It needed, new bathrooms and a new kitchen. And so I guess what I'm getting at, some of those appear from the outside. You're like, oh, that's everything you want. But sometimes you get in that house and you go, whoa, it's not.
My mom almost bought a house in an older community called Forest Crossing.
Yeah, I know Forest Crossing.
Yeah, and she really liked the fact it was on a golf course and, it's so close to like downtown Franklin. But, she was going to have to put about $300,000 into it. And then it would make it, it would be a $1 million home in a not $1 million neighborhood or whatever from the price tag. And it just wouldn't have made a lot of sense for her financially. And so for her, she's now going to more new construction because it's going to be like she can pick and choose everything she wants rather than at 7 years old gutting a house. The house was fine, but what she wanted to do was she would have to gut it. So
yeah, I mean,
but yeah,
like the modern floor plans. Like at first you think, oh, what could really be that different? But it is like they're just set up better, and they've figured things out now that older houses just don't have. So
you have to worry. Yeah. And then there's things like, with the newer homes, we don't have to worry about it's like mold and like, we did the whole radon open air vent system or whatever that was built into our house and all of that. And I don't know, but there's pros and cons. Like, my friend lives in an older neighborhood that's beautiful, closer to downtown Franklin. And so she's much closer to all the things that I drive 25 minutes to. So it's just, I guess, really understanding what the different communities offer. Are you someone that like is comfortable doing a lot of things in your neighborhood, right? Like our neighborhood, there's a million things going on, like Easter egg hunts and this and that and bounce houses. Or are you someone that wants to be closer to like coffee shops? And I mean, there's no coffee shops for me out here, which is fine. I don't care about that anymore, but some people would care about that.
I'm a huge coffee shop person myself. Like I know the answer, by the way. You have to own like 3 homes. You need one on some land in the country. You need a condo downtown, and then like a little home near downtown Franklin. So you just need like $4 or $5 million, right?
Yeah, and then don't forget a house in 30A because
that's true. Oh God.
One thing I do have to say that I am pleasantly surprised at with living in College Grove, which I didn't realize would be the case, is because I'm so far away from grocery stores, I do most of my shopping with local farmers, and I think that that's like absolutely amazing. And like, I'm really into, clean, like organic food, and it's been wonderful. And I like supporting local people more than like big box stores. So it's like, I drive 5-10 minutes to, Delvin Farms for their organic produce, and they have amazing, and you can do weekly pickup boxes where you pick up all their fresh produce each week, and then they'll sell local meat there too, and eggs and jams and stuff like that. Or then I have another farm that's Thompson Station, but very close to me, Thompson Station, College Grove, called Whispering Willows. And like, it's a family-run farm, and I buy raw milk and butter, and she makes amazing cheeses, and I get whole chickens butchered, and like so much amazing stuff. And so it's just so much. That aspect of living out here has been really cool, That
is awesome. I never even thought about that. And I'm out on some land.
Yeah, it's like that's pretty much all we do. We go to the grocery store, when we can, but like our milk, our eggs, our meat, our produce, we get from farmers out here. And if we don't drive far and we're supporting a local farmer and we know where it comes from, and it's a cool thing to say, you're like living in Tennessee buying like locally butchered sausage from the butcher. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing.
We have a cow farm basically next to us. I say a cow farm. I'm horrible. Like, and I know they're for, it's called like Perry's Angus Farm. So the cows come into the fence.
Perry's Angus Farm. I bought their stuff at the farmer's market.
You did?
Yeah.
Look, those cows walk up to our fence and they have name tags on their like ears. And I'm like, hey. And we like try to pet them. And I'm like, I know that. I'm like, we're having burgers tonight. I'm sorry.
I know, it's so hard. It's so hard. I take my dog to the Rock and Country Vet, which is which is next to Hatcher. It's part of Hatcher Family Dairy, which is across the street from us. And I took him there to get like his rabies shot. And I was sitting in the car waiting for him. And this like truck pulls up next to me. And these like kids are in the bed of the truck, you know? And I'm like, oh, this is very Tennessee, right? And then I'm like, look over and this like head pops up. And it's a cow, and the cow is the next patient. It's just like,
oh, that's awesome.
It was a baby cow, but still, that's Colorado Road. So yeah, I think that's a big thing to like know. Like, do you want more? Are you comfortable with a country life that's quiet and beautiful and serene, or are you going to go absolutely insane driving 25 minutes to do anything? So,
yeah, have you been to Arrington Vineyards?
We go every Friday in the summer. I'm actually probably going there tonight.
I don't go there as much because I'm just such a Debbie Downer and party pooper. Like, I'm like, I'm going to feel a little hungover in the morning. I'm the worst. My friends hate me because of that. But like,
Arrington Vineyards is my favorite place.
It's so awesome. So like, did you go to any vineyards in California when you were there? And like, how does I mean, I know California is well known for it, but
the wine is not. I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area, right? So I had Sonoma and Napa Valley. It was a little different. You know, the wine, I can't compare the wine. But the atmosphere, I mean, there's like a red barn and live bluegrass. The Howland Brothers is playing tonight. They're my favorite and so I can't wait. Like, I love them. And the kids just run around barefoot for hours dancing. It's like one of those things when you would close your eyes and you imagine like a quintessential Tennessee childhood. That's what I imagine for my kids. Like running around barefoot in front of a red barn, listening to bluegrass, just kids, happy adult. It's wonderful. It's magical. I love it.
It's
I love
amazing.
it.
And you can bring a cooler or whatever with snacks and just find a place to sit.
And they have food trucks on Fridays starting in the summer. It's my favorite thing.
Every time I go there, I'm like, why don't I come here more often? I'm like,
you got to. And I don't even drink half the time. I don't need, I don't even need a drink. I'll bring a Stanley full of water and, I'll buy some. And their frosé though is really okay. So if you don't like their wine, their frosé is amazing. So.
I mean, I love wine. So that's the thing. I like get there and I'm like, I'm going to be cool. And then I'm that guy walking. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that.
I mean, it's easy to do. It's easy to do. Yeah, I can't wait for summer there. Like the fireflies would come out. It was it was magical. Like it was magical. We did that our first Friday here when we were living in a hotel. I had been here for like 3 days and I went there and I was like, I remember crying. I was crying because I was like, this is everything I've dreamed of. So
that's like one of the like that experience is one, if someone comes and visits, they should see. I think like going to eat in downtown Franklin, is amazing. Just even if you just go to Mellow Mushroom and then there's a little candy store or ice cream place next door, you can park for free. It's like every time I do that, and I've been here forever and we go, I'm like, I can't believe we're able to do this. It's so nice.
Everything's amazing. I just love it here. And I think had I moved here before living, I don't know. I moving here, I embraced everything with just such open arms because I was so grateful for it. It's magical. It's all so magical. I have nothing but praise for it all. I wouldn't want to change a thing about this place. I think it's perfect.
That's awesome.
That's someone who's never been anywhere else. So, and also that Italian restaurant, by the way, in downtown Franklin, you know what I'm talking about? At the very end.
Is that amazing pizza. Is that the one at the, is that the one, not at the factory?
No, it's, oh my gosh, it compares, it's like my favorite place ever. I was blown away. like LA status, if you care, but LA has this awful but has amazing food. It's Colchinos.
Yes.
Colchino. Yes.
I haven't been there, so it's awesome.
Amazing. I took my family because they're such food snobs, I mean, San Francisco and LA both have amazing restaurants, and they're from there. So I took them there, and my stepdad's such a snob about pasta. Like, he is such a snob. I don't think he'd move anywhere that didn't have amazing pasta. And he went there and he's like, this is like Italy, he's like, this is like Italy. This is just as good as Italy. And he was like, done. That's all he needed. Yeah. So
that's something I talked about in my last video. Like, I ask people, and I feel this, like, Williamson County, there's a lot of reasons, of course, to move here. And there's other great places besides Williamson County. But, like, we have some really good restaurants just right here in Franklin and Brentwood. I mean, have you been to Circa and Thompson Station?
Love Circa. Yeah, I was there a couple weeks ago. And then Urban Market is my absolute favorite. We go there once a week. I love the owners. It's such especially if people are listening, if you guys are into like organic, that whole world, Urban Market is incredible. And you'll meet every time I'm there, I meet somebody new. I meet a new family. Like, we know the owners now. Like, it's like a family there. So it's our favorite spot. So yeah, we've been impressed.
Like, I feel like you Californians are coming here and doing more stuff than me, and I'm living here. Like, it's hard to keep up.
I do a lot here. And Leaper's Fork Distillery is the next best to Arrington Vineyards. We're going there tomorrow. Have you been there?
No, I haven't.
Have you not? So Leaper's Fork Distillery, they have live music on Saturdays and Sundays. Okay. Amazing music. And I prefer it in the summer. I prefer everything. I love summer here. But they have, lawn games. They have live music. It's like this beautiful backdrop, amazing whiskey cocktails. Kids are running around. They have like cigars. They have fire pits. It's a dream. I'm going there tomorrow.
Wow. So have you been to the Nashville Soccer Club yet? The games?
I have not done that because of my kids. It's like tough with their bedtimes and sitters.
Oh, yeah. Because we're going tomorrow. My kids are 7 and 11. So like my 11-year-old will take his friend and his dad tomorrow, but it's so fun. Yeah. Like, the stadium's really nice and it's easy to get in and out and it's cheap.
Nashville is much more accessible to Franklin, College Grove, all of that than like LA is to Orange County. So like living in Orange County, getting to LA to do concerts, to do all that was like a nosebleed. It was exhausting. You had to like prepare yourself. But here it's like I go to Nashville at least a couple of times a week. I go to the zoo. I go to Cheekwood. I live all the way out here. I'm a member at Cheekwood. I'm a member at the zoo. It's easy.
Dang. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. Like, if you go from Orange County to LA, like, let's just say Saturday afternoon for an early dinner, is there a lot of traffic?
Oh, yeah. You can't get anywhere. It's insanity. And then getting home will always take you. I mean, it's literally insane. And it's bottlenecked in every direction. It's awful. You just can't do it. I think, when we moved from Los Angeles to Orange County, I had tons of friends in LA, and I thought I was going to be going all the time to see my friends. Do you know how many times in a period of 3 years I went to LA?
How many?
3 times. 3 times.
It was such a pain in the ass, right?
And one of those times was to go to LAX. So yes, it's terrible. And here it's so accessible. And that's one thing I like tell people is, they're worried about moving to Franklin and all that because you don't want to be stranded away from Nashville. I'm like, it's not a big problem at all. It's easy.
It's not bad. If you go in rush hour, like, of course it can be a little busy, but it still moves.
It's not bad. Yeah. The airport can be a little challenging, but nothing like Californians. After being here 8 months, now I can like see, now I'm like, oh yeah, there's traffic. But like if a Californian came here and saw that traffic, they wouldn't think it's traffic.
They wouldn't think it's anything.
No.
I found that. I'll tell people, I'm like, man, the traffic's rough, just so you know. And they come in and they're like, Matt, that's nothing. I'm like, I was kidding. It's not bad.
It's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing.
All right, we are at 40 minutes. I feel like we could talk forever, but we should probably sign off.
I got to get to Arrington Vineyards.
I know. Well, it was great meeting you. Thank you so much for jumping on here with me. I really appreciate it, and it sounds like you had a successful move here to Tennessee.
Yes, I highly recommend everyone do it. If it feels right, just do it.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.